From Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine in Cleveland, Ohio, this is the All Access Med School Admissions Podcast. Hello again, everybody. I'm your host, Christian Essman, and I'm the Senior Director of Admissions and Financial Aid here at the medical school. It's great to be with you again. I've been away for a little bit. It's been an unusually and insanely busy spring/summer for me. So it's good to be back in the podcast chair and bringing you some updates today. A little bit shorter episode, but I have a couple more in the tank that are coming your way. So hang in there, but I'm working on them. So I have two that are already recorded that I have to get out to you, and then a couple more that I'm scheduling with some people. So more to come. So hang in there. So here's some updates from my end of the show, and I also wanted to share with you some tips if you're a current applicant in this new 24-25 application cycle. First, some updates from my end. You'll notice maybe on your end that I'm rocking some new podcast artwork. It's been 5 years since I started this show and felt like it was time to freshen things up a little bit. So I got some new, fresh podcast artwork. So that looks a little different. While you haven't heard me recently on my show, I have been invited to be on some other podcasts. There's two of them. One is called Boots to Meds, and it's by Dr. Bart Gillum. He's the pre-med advisor at George Washington University's post-bac program, and he'd invited me to be on his show. And his audience, his podcast is dedicated to veterans and other active duty military members who may be considering going into medicine. So there's one maybe to check out there for you. And the other one it's called Accepted with Linda Abraham, and she has an admissions consulting company. So I was honored to join her. And so I'll put links to those two shows in the show description. So if you want to check those out, I encourage you to take a listen. Let's see. Also, at the end of June, we went to the National Pre-Health Advisors Conference. It was held in Cincinnati, Ohio. So a large contingent from Case Western was there, and including one of our new Dream Team members, Dr. Kathy Lee, who joined us from John Carroll University, where she was the Assistant Dean of Pre-Health Advising. So she's now joined our team. And so along with the whole crew, we were down in Cincinnati for this National Pre-Health Advisors Conference. So the NAAHP, you've heard me, if you've been listening to this show for a while, you've heard me mention the NAAHP. They host this conference every 2 years. And so it was fantastic to get to meet and reconnect with so many advisors. I was reminded how many advisors listen to this show, and it was kind of humbling. And so it was great. And to shake hands with people that I've only met on Zoom or only interacted with on email, and also reconnecting with people that have been longtime friends of our school. And so it was great. And in addition to that, much to my surprise, there was a session dedicated to this show. And I didn't know this was taking place until about 3 weeks before the conference was to happen. And so I found out that there is an advisor who is at Siena College, which is in New York, and his name is Dr. Daniel White, and he held a session on my show called Mining for Pre-Med Gold in the All Access Med School Admissions Podcast. And I have to tell you that sitting in the audience and having somebody go through your work, it was humbling. It was emotional to kind of have somebody pay tribute to the work I've put into this show and go through it in kind of an academic way to pull out some of the common themes that we hear from deans and directors from other schools. And so it was really very cool. And so to Dr. White, I say thank you again. I got to meet him, and we talked afterwards and had a good laugh. And maybe we'll do some work together in the future. But that was really a very cool experience and a reminder of the impact that some of your work can have on people very broadly. So I'm very grateful for that kind of experience. So we had a great time in Cincinnati, and so a shout out to all the advisors that we saw, and it was great reconnecting and having you along with us in this journey to help students achieve their dreams of going to medical school. So there was the NHP conference. And so let's see, what else? Also at the end of June, the medical schools started to receive their first download of verified AMCAS applications. And the early indicators from AMCAS was it appears that there was a little bit of a bump in the number of applications nationally. Initially, it looked like 4%. So it's hard to say if it was just a combination of maybe applicants applying earlier or if it's AMCAS verifying applications faster. Who knows? So we'll see. But at Case Western, our number of applications this year, right now, we're looking at 20% increase compared to where we were last year. Now, again, it's hard to say if it's the factor of AMCAS verifying applications faster, if students are applying earlier, and a combination of those two factors, or wondering if applicants are applying to more schools. Last year, the average number of schools that applicants applied to was 18. Some of the preliminary data I've seen is looking more around potentially 22 schools on average this year. So it's hard to say. We won't know until later in the fall once all the applications have been accounted for and the data has been compiled and analyzed. But that's just kind of what preliminary things look like coming out of the gate. So we'll see, but more to come on that. But we're swimming in applications already. And so if you're a current applicant, secondary applications should be going out. Case Western, our secondaries went out, started rolling out July 15th. And I think we're caught up by now. And I'll put a link to our show notes to our essays. We post our essays on our website. So if you want to see the prompts, if you haven't received it yet, or if you've applied but haven't been verified yet, you can get a sneak peek at our secondary prompts and maybe start working on them while you're waiting to be verified. At Case, we have 3 schools or 3 programs you can apply to: our university program, which is our 4-year MD, our Cleveland Clinic Learner College of Medicine, which is our 5-year MD, and then the medical scientist training program. And so in AMCAS, you would select Case Western, and then when you receive our secondary after a verified application from AMCAS, you can check off which program or programs, plural, you'd like to apply to. And then your application reviewed separately from each program you applied to. So they remain separated. Decisions from, say, more than one program remain separated. We do have a minimum MCAT cutoff to receive our secondary. You have to have a minimum MCAT of 495 or above to receive our secondary application. So I wanted to mention that too while I'm on that subject. Speaking of current applicants. So right now it's pretty early in the cycle. So I was trying to think of a couple things to share with you if you're a current applicant. One would be add your AMCAS ID number to the signature in your email address. If you eventually start interacting with admissions offices, it's helpful to have that AMCAS ID number handy for us to see in your signature, because sometimes we get lots of emails from current applicants asking us questions about prerequisites or something in their application. And oftentimes we have to respond by saying, can you give us your AMCAS ID number? Because we have literally thousands of applicants and some people have similar last names. And so we need to double check and make sure we're corresponding with the person and making updates or adding things to somebody's application that's specific to them. So I think adding your AMCAS ID number to your email signature is key. The other thing that you can update and should keep updated is your contact information. That's one of the things that you can update in AMCAS at any point in the cycle is your contact information. So should your email address change, or when you go back in the fall, you move into a different apartment or dorm and they have a new address, make sure you go in and update that in AMCAS so that medical schools, if they need to mail you something or contact you via email, have your correct address or email address. The other thing that you can change in AMCAS at any point is updating letters of recommendation. I know sometimes applicants begin the cycle and they have indicated, let's say, 5 letter writers in their application, and at some point along the way they find out that maybe a letter writer is not going to be able to come through with a letter in a timely fashion. So the applicant wants to make that one go away, because that can hang up the completion of an application. If you said they have 5 coming and only 4 are there, then med schools are going to just sit and wait for that 5th one to arrive and not complete your application until that fifth one arrives. So if that is your case, then you can go into AMCAS and have that 5th letter, or that letter that's not arriving, removed. So that's something I wanted to pass along as well. I think that's it for my updates. I wanted to come out with hello, I'm back, and there's more to come. Leave you with a couple tips if you're currently in the application process. And I've got a couple really good episodes coming up about Brown's Special Master's Program, and then a really cool gap year opportunity called Horseshoe Farms. So those are coming up. I have them recorded, just need to clean them up and push them out to you. So stay tuned, and you'll be hearing from me soon. Thanks a lot.